Hello there, my name is Dr. Maitland Hyslop and I'm an author, a non-executive director, a chartered marketer of 25 years standing and an academic. The purpose of this short video is to introduce you to my new book called On War 2020. On War 2020, available from Amazon and Kindle. It has a subtitle, Modern Agile Conflict, because I believe war has changed over the last 20 or 30 years in particular, and it has a further subtitle called The Threat to Britain, because I think and use Britain as an example of a country that has been affected by modern agile conflict over the last few years. The book is divided into three parts. The first part looks at the rules and conduct of war. Rules of conduct of war have existed for millennia and first appear in Deuteronomy in the Bible and also in the Quran. So both in the Western and Middle Eastern traditions there have been rules and conduct of war for millennia. This has changed recently. So the context of warfare in the world has changed, and I look at that next. Three areas: cybersecurity, finance and critical infrastructures have become particular vectors and targets of modern agile conflict. And part one concludes with looks at all those three subjects. In part two, we move on to look at warfare and doctrine in a little more detail. The doctrine of the West, the doctrine of Russia, the doctrine of China and their related strategies are all slightly different, and this is important because it defines how each part of the world is approaching warfare. In the West, we're still pretty much rooted in the use of technology. The Chinese have eschewed that approach and have concentrated on what might be called a much more Sun Tzu multi-vector approach to warfare, and I look at the differences between them. In part three, we look at the threat to Britain in the context of modern agile conflict and these new warfare vectors. We also look at the implications for strategy and doctrine for Britain in that context. And finally, we look at a post-COVID-19 world. So that's a very brief introduction to my new book. I hope you'll take a closer look at it on Kindle or Amazon. And if you do purchase it, enjoy reading it. Thank you very much for watching, and you can subscribe to my channel below.